What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Thanks for being here, everyone, to the best gaming-related show here on YouTube. And we have a ton of stuff to talk about in today's episode, so let's get into it. One of my most anticipated games of the year is Watchdogs Legion. A game, guys, obviously following in those footsteps of a game in which that really has been on the cusp, a series that has really felt that it's right there. It's so close to being a absolutely massive IP for none other than Ubisoft, which of course it sells well pretty much every time that there's a Watch Dogs game that's come out, which there's been 2 up to this point. This being the 3rd, and I think that this could be the biggest and best one of the franchise so far. So with that being said, I want to talk about everything that we know so far about this game in particular and kind of talk about it and give you guys all of my thoughts. And I would love to hear yours in the comment section below. So let's get into it. So in an article that was written by Rob Dwyer of PC Gamer, Watch Dogs will take players to post-Brexit London and let you play as any NPC. So Watch Dogs Legion, the 3rd in the Watch Dogs series, will take place in the dystopian near future. As with previous Watch Dogs games set in Chicago and San Francisco, Legion will be set in the fictional version of a major city. This time around, we're headed across the pond to London in order to, as creative director Clint Hocking told Famitsu, approach problems in other parts of the world. London after Brexit, that is, so not too fictional nor too futuristic. Right off the bat, guys, I think that's really great that we're going to London. I love how, of course, the first couple of games you had Chicago as well as San Francisco. I feel that a lot of people didn't really like Chicago that much. San Francisco people did seem to enjoy, but Chicago was one of those things that it just didn't feel like there was that much to do. I think London looks like there's a lot more to do in this, at least from, of course, the gameplay so far. Unlike previous Watch Dogs games, Legion brings a neat twist. Every character in the game is a potential protagonist for you to recruit to your cause. Each comes with their own traits and skills that you can use before hopping into another member of your budding resistance movement. So that's really cool. I think it's really awesome that you're going to be able to play as any of the NPCs, and it seems like one of those games where they're really wanting you to recruit a lot of people into your group. So Watch Dogs Legion has been delayed to an unknown time in 2020 or 2021, according to Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot during a financial call in late 2019, as reported by Market Screener. We were quite impressed with Watch Dogs Legion during our hands-on sessions around E3 2019, so it may stand to reason that Watch Dogs will be the least delayed of the bunch. Ubisoft announced delays for other games during the same call. Watch Dogs Legion originally was planned to be released was March 6th of 2020. So it was delayed pretty much to a later date, guys, which is really unfortunate. To me, it sounds like when a CEO says something along the lines of, okay, it could be 2020 or 2021, most likely it's going to be 2021, guys, just because they're going to be wanting to work on it. Obviously, they want to bring it out, but I think they want this game to really do well for them, and I think they got something special here, so I don't think that they should rush it whatsoever. They really should just bring it out when it's ready to come out. We have a full package that we can all really enjoy. So, as we said, Watch Dogs Legion is set in post-Brexit London, and it lets you recruit and play as any NPC in the game. That's a big claim, but Watch Dogs Legion is an ambitious game. There's no one protagonist in Legion. Cutscenes, story beats, and dialogue will all change depending on the DedSec member you're currently playing as. Each member has a host of different attributes that affect their playstyle. Scanning a random citizen might reveal that their background makes them better at non-lethal takedowns or hacking drones. But you can't just hit a button and recruit them right away. You have to sway them to your side, convince them DedSec is worth risking their life for. So this is really interesting, guys. I love that there's this type of convincing that you have to do in order to bring them into DedSec. I think that's a really interesting concept, and I wonder how this is going to kind of affect the multiplayer of this game as well. It's almost like you're recruiting people into your group or into DedSec, and I think everyone else is going to be doing their own thing as well, and I wonder how that's going to kind of form the multiplayer that will most likely be Watch Dogs Legion. It'll be something really to, I think, witness. Now, A person's stats are influenced by their backstory. For instance, someone who has been injured by Albion soldiers in the past might have a damage buff against them. Someone who creates 3D printed art forgeries gets a discount when using the in-game 3D printer to make new weapons. Some are more a little wackier, like the Derek Adyebo NPC seen in the demo, who is addicted to adrenaline. He deals 100% extra damage but may die randomly. So very interesting things. I mean, things that we really haven't seen in gaming up to this point, are just some very different types of concepts within this game. And it's something that I think is going to be really interesting to experience once we get our hands on the game, and we'll really understand it more once we kind of, are able to really kind of dive into this story, as well as like the multiplayer and maybe even the co-op modes. So there's 3 different classes to the DedSec agents. You got Enforcer, Infiltrator, and Hacker. Ubisoft art director Josh Cook and lead game designer Matthew Berube played through about 30 minutes of Watchdogs Legion at E3. And of course, guys, after recruiting a new citizen to join DedSec, you can assign them one of 3 classes: Enforcer, Infiltrator, and Hacker. They can all perform the same basic combat and stealth, though as we saw with Grandma Helen, physical attributes can affect their combat capability. As for what separates each class, it mostly comes down to extra perks. So you know what a lot of this reminds me of is like with the different classes and the different kinds of characters and all the different like cosmetic items that are probably going to be completely filled in this game. It reminds me kind of Saints Row, something a little bit, over the top, but still very unique to its own. And I think that this has a real possibility of just, they're accepting what this game is, and I think that's going to be really special when this game comes out. We'll have to kind of wait and see, as we get more information. Now, what's really interesting about the characters is they have permadeath. So going full-on assault comes more risk than ever before. If your current DedSec operative dies, they're gone for good. Though it seems like the game will give you ample opportunities to prevent that. This isn't confirmed, but by watching the demos, you can choose to be arrested the first time you go down. If you want to keep fighting, you can get back up, but dying after that seems to be permanent. So you get one chance to give up without losing the operative you've powered hours of upgrading and emotional attachment into. So that will actually be really frustrating if you end up losing your characters, and you don't mean to, like you get a permadeath and you don't actually mean to have a permadeath, or you don't mean to do one thing or another. It seems like it's going to be very unforgiving when it comes to certain aspects of this game. Now, what's interesting about this is Watchdogs Legion single player has 5 main storylines, over 60 missions. So, what you wonder about this is, how long is this single player story? It might actually be quite long. So no other details were given for us what this means, but it's reminiscent of Watch Dogs 2's progression. Every mission was a single step towards completing a larger operation. Since there's no one protagonist in Legion, Ubisoft might be using this opportunity to tell 5 shorter stories instead of one larger one. So very interesting. I'm excited to see what that is, and maybe this is going to be a really expansive world that we can explore, and that's what I'm really hoping for. Something that we can really dive into, not something that, there's just a lot more to do, unlike, Chicago. Multiplayer will return in Watch Dogs Legion. Ubisoft hasn't shared any details on Watch Dogs Legion's multiplayer, but it did describe the single-player experience as the springboard into multiplayer. So, multiplayer, guys, hopefully they add some more modes to the multiplayer to keep people coming back, because that's the most important thing about these games, is having a full package. So, you play the single-player story, then you come back and you play the multiplayer, and then, if there's co-op modes and things of that nature, and they're consistently adding things as we go, that's what really brings people back to the game. So overall, guys, I mean, obviously, there's a lot more really to Watch Dogs Legion than previous entries in this franchise, but I think that the biggest takeaways, guys, are number one, that I think this game knows what it is, and that being kind of over the top, but also something different, exciting, kind of reminiscent of GTA or Saints Row and some of these other open world games. But I think now they know what they did right, wrong, and what they need to do different moving forward from the previous Watchdog entries. And I'm really excited about it. From a single-player perspective, from a multiplayer perspective, from pretty much in everything perspective, I'm really excited about this game. I would love to hear from you guys. What are you most excited about with Watchdogs Legion? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more content and videos based around Watchdogs Legion, stay right here with Zero TV. Very little is known about the future of the Max Payne franchise, one of my favorite franchises of all time. I've absolutely loved Max Payne from the very first game that I played on the original Xbox, and then of course to the second one, which was a little bit of a downgrade in my opinion to Max Payne 1. And then when we got the third one, I thought that, man, this is moving in a really good direction. Even though Max Payne 3 could have been that conclusion, it could have concluded Max Payne's story, I still think that there's a lot of stories still left to tell. So in today's segment of the show, I want to talk about Max Payne 4 and everything that we know so far about the game, even though a lot of the information is very limited and a lot of it is very speculative. So let's talk about it. So guys, it's been 7 years, actually longer than 7 years, since we played Max Payne, a Max Payne game. Max Payne 3 launched in May of 2012 and became one of the massive hits at that time. Max Payne is regarded as one of the best third-person shooting games with a build-up story that took it to the next level. Max Payne series consists of 3 parts: Max Payne, The Fall of Max Payne, and Max Payne 3. The series revolves around the protagonist Max Payne and his personal life, which is very tragic. As in the first part, his wife and daughter were murdered, and then he roamed to avenge their death and exposing various crimes of Valkyrie. And then, of course, in the sequel, Fall of Max Payne, he found that his own friend Vladimir Lem was the culprit and reason behind his near-death experience. The final part, when Max was working under a multi-millionaire whose family got murdered one by one, and he's the sole witness of the crime, so inmates also want to finish him. But of course, all of that failed miserably. Even though there was a lot of close calls with Max Payne, I think that we can all agree that Max Payne is a badass of nature, right? Now, there's a full stop to the story, and build-up seems impossible. So there are many chances that we will not see Max Payne in action again. Rockstar Games also focuses on the project, of course, GTA 6, which is, of course, what it seems like is what they're working on at this very point. So that kind of shortens the chances that the series will be back to its roots, but it also kind of symbolizes that, hey, maybe they won't, be working on a Max Payne 4 for quite some time. Obviously, Max Payne 4 is nothing but a rumor for now, and there's no confirmed news about that. There will be another Max Payne in the future. So what I think, guys, really, when we think about all of the things that we know about this game, all we know is that Rockstar has talked about Max Payne and how, they love all of their IPs. They've talked about LA Noire, how they, would consider working on a continuation of that story. How Max Payne, they would love to continue that. And how they would, of course, there was talks of them working on Bully 2, which, of course, Bully 2 now has was canceled back in 2013. And so I think, guys, what it really comes down to is what Rockstar's feeling. Obviously, everyone thinks GTA 6 is what's next. And then following GTA 6, it's really hard to say. Would they work on Max Payne 4? Would they work on Red Dead Redemption 3? Would they work on Bully 2, LA Noire 2? Or would they work on a completely new IP? In my opinion, I think Max Payne 4 might be the next game following GTA 6. And here's why. We haven't seen a Max Payne 4 we haven't seen a new Max Payne game in a number of years, and they always take their time when it comes to making any, new project in any new game. Max Payne obviously has sold very well for them, and I believe that, sure, it's not quite as big as Red Dead Redemption or GTA. It's kind of like that filler in between, them making those GTA and Red Dead games. I also think that there's a real opportunity to do, obviously a full package once again with Max Payne, that being, whether it's a side story, a prequel, whatever it might be, but doing a really good single-player story, but also a multiplayer. I think that the multiplayer in a Max Payne 4 could be huge. And, of course, they have, Red Dead Online, GTA Online. Could they have a Max Payne Online? That's something that I think could be really big for Rockstar as well, since they're kind of, doing like these different, services and such, or online multiplayer experiences, which I think they could certainly do in Max Payne as well. So As of right now, guys, we don't know much about Max Payne 4. If there's any possibility that this game will come out, I think that there is, without a doubt. But more than anything, I want to really start a conversation, because here's what it comes down to, guys. If we want another Max Payne game to come out, we as a community have to be the ones voicing that to Rockstar, stating that we want a Max Payne 4. So definitely leave a comment down below if you guys want to see a Max Payne 4. Let's get a real conversation going about Max Payne and the continuation of this franchise, because I think that there's still a lot of story left to tell. Even though at the end of Max Payne 3, it felt like Max's story could be over, but what's to say that you couldn't continue it or do a prequel or, you know, do a completely new side story of, you know, maybe Max Payne, you know, his brother, his son, something along those lines that could really continue this story. I just think that there's so much more that we could do in this world. And I think Rockstar has made it sound like they wouldn't mind doing it either. So I think what it really comes down to is what the fans want. We as the community, do we want another Max Payne game? And if so, let's try to be the ones that are telling Rockstar those things. So what I'm going to ask all of you is to leave a comment down below if you would want to see a Max Payne 4 at some point in the future. Let me know what you guys think. And for all future Max Payne 4 videos and content, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked about on the YouTube channel Manhunt and this franchise that has been surrounded with so much controversy for Rockstar, but in those early years of Rockstar games when they were making, you know, of course, different titles, that being like GTA and Red Dead, you know, Red Dead Redemption and a number of different titles, Manhunt was one of those games that really got so much controversy. And sure, games like GTA were getting controversy as well, but I think that when Rockstar Games, that defining moment where they decided to kind of have some form of controversy in all their games because it got everybody talking, was from and because of Manhunt. This game that, like I said, was surrounded by so much controversy, Rockstar has kind of alluded to the possibility of returning to the series after, of course, the second game was made, and there was just, you know, so much backlash, you know, an AO rating coming back to a M rating, and a lot of different places, you know, banning the game. So would Rockstar Games ever even consider bringing back this Manhunt franchise and making a Manhunt 3? So let's talk about, where is Manhunt 3 at this point? Let's talk about it. So, according to Wikipedia and the future of Manhunt, there has been speculation about future titles in the Manhunt series, specifically concerning Manhunt 3, with rumors including the possibility of a PlayStation 3 release utilizing the PlayStation Move. Obviously, guys, we're already moving into the PlayStation 5, so that definitely did not happen. Now, Take-Two, however, have rebuked such rumors. In October 2007, Steven Totillo of MTV Games asked Rockstar Games producer Geronimo Barrera about the possibilities of a multiplayer component being added to future iterations of the Manhunt franchise, such as adding the game to the Rockstar Games social club. Barrera seemingly embraced the idea. That's a very interesting question. Who knows where the Manhunt series is going to go? And that's definitely something that warrants some exploring on our part for sure. So, this doesn't give away much, right? But obviously, guys, there have been talks, significant talks at certain points in time, probably over at Rockstar Games, where they have thought about making Manhunt 3. It's definitely been something that's come out of their mouths. Certainly something that they would potentially consider bringing back. I think, though, that a really smart idea, I think, for Rockstar Games would be to bring Manhunt back, but in a battle royale kind of way. Making it like, even if it's not battle royale, like a multiplayer experience for people to, you know, like in the games, kind of, you know, having to escape and, you know, doing anything possible and using any, you know, tools and things necessary to escape, which seems to me like something like a battle royale would be very, very fitting for Manhunt. And so I think that if they were to do a Manhunt game, I don't think that they should do like a single player story. I think it should specifically be a multiplayer experience. And I think that's exactly what Rockstar Games would potentially do because of the success of Red Dead Online, the success of GTA Online, and who knows what other onlines are going to come out with each of their games that they bring out moving forward. But Manhunt is something that would be incredibly interesting to see as like a battle royale or just a multiplayer experience. And I think that, sure, I just think if you say that a Manhunt game is coming out, it's going to bring a lot of people from around the entire, gaming space to talk about it. And it's going to get Rockstar's, this game, whether it's controversial or not, it's going to get people talking about it. And they're going to be reminiscing about the past of Manhunt. And it actually could do very well for Rockstar as a multiplayer component. So I wouldn't be surprised, and I would certainly not scratch it off that they're not going to make a Manhunt, multiplayer experience. Making a single player experience, it's really hard to see them doing that because of all the issues that they had trying to getting around that AO rating back to an M rating, and then kind of them the game getting banned in multiple areas. It just wouldn't make a lot of sense to me financially for Rockstar to do that. Even though Rockstar embraces controversies and things of that nature, at least it seems, I don't think that they would do that. So at this point, where is Manhunt 3? I think, guys, that the answer is it's something that's being talked about, and maybe it's something that's being worked on as a multiplayer experience, but obviously we haven't heard anything yet. And I think, though, that I wouldn't, like I said, scratch this game off quite yet from Rockstar Games. I think that there's a good possibility that we could see a continuation of it, that being maybe in a different format, like in a multiplayer experience. I would be very surprised if they made a single-player story as well as a multiplayer. That would be very interesting, to say the least, how the entire gaming space would react to that. But let me know what you guys think. Would you guys want to see a Manhunt 3 or like a Manhunt multiplayer experience, battle royale experience? What do you guys think about that? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Manhunt 3 based content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. We've talked on the channel about Silent Hill and the franchise and the future of it, and kind of what happened to Silent Hill as a whole, and playable teaser or PT. What's the future of it? And that was something that we've talked about. Well, in recent news, guys, or relatively recent, even though, this happened a couple of months ago, I wanted to talk about some new information that's come out about Silent Hill and the future of this franchise, because it's very exciting. So according to Rely on Horror, a horror gaming site that covers major and indie horror titles, they tweeted out saying, "We have learned from multiple sources that a Silent Hill series reboot and Silent Hill's revival are both in the works by Sony. The reboot is helmed by former Team Silent and possibly even Project Siren members." So if you click on this article from Rourke Keegan of Rely on Horror, it goes as follows. "You may recall a rumor that we previously reported on regarding this future of the iconic Silent Hill series. Namely, Konami had been seeking out developers in order to continue the Silent Hill franchise and seemingly settled on 2 new entries. What was reported on at the time was a Silent Hill reboot along with some sort of anthology or episodic Silent Hill. We have a trusted source regarding this news, and another source has corroborated with us that Masahiro Ito, creature designer for the first 4 titles in the series, is indeed working on a Silent Hill game as previously speculated. These same sources name Sony as the driving force behind bringing the series back, most likely as a PlayStation 5 exclusive, though this is a conjecture on our source's part. Now, before we go any farther, the thing about that is, guys, I really hope it's not a PlayStation 5 exclusive. That would be, even though I know Sony's kind of bringing it back in a way makes sense that PlayStation would have it, I would just really hope that it's not just on PlayStation. It makes sense, though, because if Hideo Kojima is working on the Silent Hills game again, which is absolutely so exciting, if it's going to be only on PlayStation, kind of like Death Stranding, it's going to be kind of a bummer for all those who don't have a PlayStation. But at the same time, the fact that we would even get Silent Hills at some point is huge news. Our first source, who we've come to trust well, indicates that Kichiro Toyama, director and writer of the original 1999 Silent Hill, and Akira Yamaoka, composer for the majority of the franchise, are also returning alongside Mashiro Ito. The trio will helm a soft reboot of the Silent Hill series, possibly just called Silent Hill. So this is really exciting. And then the second Silent Hill title referenced in previous rumors is still being worked out at the moment, but it's looking as if it very well could be Silent Hill's Hideo Kojima's famously canceled title. According to our first source, Sony is working to patch up the relationship between Kojima Productions and Konami in order to resurrect the game due to the amount of buzz and continued demand for it 5 years after its cancellation. Our second source shared the same information with us in the past. We can now report on it with some confidence in its legitimacy. Guys, if Hideo Kojima is coming back to make Silent Hills, or at least finish Silent Hills, this is huge, because this could be a very special game. It looked like a very special game if we were, while we were, playing PT and you kind of are playing through it. I mean, it's so well done. And there was a hacker who actually hacked the sequence at the very end of the game where you see Norman Reedus, he turns around, you see that entire open area in the town. The hacker was able to actually go through that town and able to like kind of pan a camera around the town and such. And it looks incredibly detailed and such, like it's already been pretty much fleshed out. And so I would love to see Hideo Kojima come back and do this. I think it's like one of those works of art that we want to see, because like there was so much potential there. It could have been something like really special, I think. And Hideo Kojima really has an eye for horror, in my opinion. And I think that this would be, something really special. Now, source number 1 goes on to say that the game will even make use of the next-gen PlayStation VR headset for PlayStation 5. Allegedly, Sony has pitched the game to Kojima as a title more akin to a Telltale supermassive narrative-driven title, which would offer him full creative freedom. Our source does emphasize, however, that Silent Hills is not yet a done deal, and that for now, the only game in active development is the reboot from SIE Japan Studio. While Sony is pushing for the series' comeback, our sources do not say that they're out to own the Silent Hill IP. Sony and Konami are working together on these titles. And so look, here's the thing. I mean, the one bummer is that it would probably only be on PlayStation 5, which is unfortunate. Now, Sony's trying to bring it back, which is a huge thing, and bringing Hideo Kojima into the fold would be absolutely massive for them as well. I guess my only other, real question is why is there 2 Silent Hill games? I understand there's a Silent Hill, it kind of seems like there's like an anthology or episodic Silent Hill, and then there's also the Silent Hills, which would be more like the reboot, I guess. If it were up to me, I would personally want Silent Hills to be kind of like that narrative-driven story, and then the episodic Silent Hill, I think, would be interesting, but it would also be interesting to have like some kind of multiplayer experience or like a co-op experience where you can go, take down waves of enemies or something like that. I think would be really interesting, or kind of exploring different areas in an episodic Silent Hill with your friends and stuff. I think that would be really interesting. But make Silent Hills just a single player experience and open world. I think that would be absolutely awesome, and let Hideo Kojima do that, because we saw what Death Stranding did, and my God, was it incredible. So I think if they did that within, the Silent Hill franchise, it could be really special. And I also think that if you look at this from the standpoint of just an episodic or anthology Silent Hill, having to be able to play that with your friends or even by yourself would also be really cool as well. So that's my only question, is kind of why is there going to be 2 Silent Hills? Why not just make one and then kind of go from there? It's hard to say what the thought process is there. But what I'm very excited about is if it's true that there's significant consideration by Hideo Kojima and his team over at Kojima Productions to continue and complete Silent Hills, guys, that could be massive. It could be absolutely huge. Graphically, just everything on the PlayStation 5, it could be really special. But let me know what you guys think. Are you guys excited about Silent Hills or the Silent Hill anthology or episodic version of the game? Or what do you guys want to see out of these Silent Hill titles? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more content and videos based around both of these Silent Hill titles, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.